Good morning, good morning, good morning, everybody. Leon Street here, ready for your good morning, business owners, with me. And today we have a very important topic for business owners. And before we kick off and get into all the juicy details of what I want to discuss, I hope you are having a great day. So I guess for me, this topic's very important. But as I said, before we get into it, I've got a couple of things I want to go through. So if you didn't know, this week I held my online business summit, and the online business summit was an event that I held where I interviewed 16 experts, delivered 4 masterclasses to help business owners with recession proofing themselves, their businesses during these times. It was a great success. We had nearly 300 people who registered for the event, and there was a lot of people who interacted, had questions, and the content was awesome. So if you missed that, and you saw the promotion, reach out to me, because we do have the replays available as an offer where you can buy those replays, guys. But yeah, other than that, being an interesting week. Preparing for the event, and it kind of leads into what I'm talking about today: how to deal with difficult times as a business owner. Because I remember, especially when I first started out in my career as a business owner, going into it with full of expectations, full of energy, full of I don't know, I guess ambition and what I thought things would turn out to be and how they would be. And I guess when you get into running a business, you realize quite quickly what the reality of running a business is. So I want to talk about a few things. In particular, just some of the things that perhaps that if you're dealing with difficult circumstances in your business right now, some of the things I want to touch on are really just to help you through, because I guess when you first start out in business, or if you're in business and you don't have, like, let's say, kind of other business owners around you, or people you can turn to, people who are, I guess, just, that saying, you're the average of the 5 people around you that you spend the most time with. Sometimes business can be a lonely place, especially if you aren't connected to a lot of other business owners who are, let's say, just slightly above you or doing better than you. And you can get caught up in just people who perhaps employees, perhaps family, friends, and they don't understand what it's like to be a business owner. And it can make you feel, I guess, or it can seem like a lonely place. And so for me, dealing with difficult times in business was something that I didn't really look at or really think about when I launched my business, because I was just full of energy, full of happiness, full of kind of like drive, get up and go. But when you first start to hit those challenges and things do become a bit more difficult, you soon start to realize that I've got to develop a whole range of other skills and how you cope with things. And this, I guess, is probably one of the key things with a lot of people, where when they're going through those challenging times, they start to realize, like, actually, yes, this is what I need. And perhaps I don't know exactly what I need, but what I know that is different to what I'm going through right now, I don't have answers to. And that's probably what the difficult times, I guess, are all about. So how to deal with difficult times as a business owner. Now, before I go any further, guys, if you are dealing with difficult times, you're going through depression, anxiety, results in your marketing, in your sales, in operations, in managing your team, they're just not going right, reach out to me, booking a call for us to have a chat, and perhaps I can point you in the right direction of a few things that you can do to help you out. There's no cost in this, just simply booking a time. If there's further support and help that I can give you and you want, then I can show you the types of programs that I run to help business owners go to that next level. So go to www.leonstreet.com/apply. So here are some of the things, I guess, when it comes to facing difficult things in business, what I've experienced, and perhaps you've experienced some of these things, perhaps not, we'll see. So failure versus expectation. Now, I used to think back and when I'd look at business and think, what's the secret to success? What I didn't bank on when I'd ask myself that question, and I was very much focused on, where I wanted to be, I wasn't really banking on failure. I kind of knew that it was possible, that things wouldn't always work out my way, but not in a really deep way that would impact me emotionally. And I guess when you're in business, quite often your ego, your internal protection system, it doesn't really set you up for failure in that way, especially if you haven't really hit it hard before. And your expectations perhaps are always going to be things will work out for the best, or you're going to make your way through it because everything's going to work for you. But I'll give you a quick example. When I launched my first business, it failed around about 2010. So I had to liquidate the company because we were trading insolvently. I was trying to cash flow the business. We had some challenges with some money owed to us from clients. And at the time, it was like the back end of the recession in 2008. And there was kind of like a fallout. And at the time, we had a couple of clients who went out of business in 2010. And they owed us money. And during that time, I was trying to bridge the gap using credit cards and overdrafts and all sorts of other, financial solutions at the time, which I was thinking positively. I was thinking, I can take this risk. I can do this and everything will work out, and I'm going to attract more customers. And in the end, I guess the straw that broke the donkey's back was, at the time I had like a £9,000 cash gap, money that needed to be paid out, money I was expecting money to come in, payroll for my team. I had a team of 3 people at the time, and it just it collapsed. And I wasn't banking on failing. I was 100% focused on making things work, and my expectations of what failure were nowhere near close to what I went through. Because I've always been positive, and I know everybody's different in business. Some people have this great outlook, other people have like a slightly, let's say, reserved approach because they don't want to overestimate what their potential is or what's possible, and kind of keep themselves safe. But I was always banking on never failing. And so when it happened to me, it was a rude awakening, to say the least. And I guess the biggest thing for me in terms of failure versus expectation was I didn't expect to fail. That was the first thing. And when it did happen to me, there was more emotions that was going on with me than I realized that I could have ever imagined, if that makes sense. One, just first of all, the fact that the business was kind of failing before my eyes, and I was thinking, what the hell can I do? I'm trying all these different things, speaking to different people, and that was actually a big thing, guys. And when it did happen, I didn't expect I would need to speak to anybody, because I was always kind of like Superman. I'd wear the S on my chest as proud business owner. But then I soon found that actually speaking to people, speaking to other business owners was important, because that actually helped me through the time, just to see what opportunities, what things I hadn't considered, and just advice. Some of this advice was around how to deal with myself, my emotions. And so failure versus expectations. When things don't work out, be prepared is what I'd say, to experience things that you're not expecting, but be okay with it, because the things that you're not expecting are important, because they're the lessons that you wouldn't have been able to take without going through failure. But actually what will happen as you come out the other side, because we all eventually do, what will happen is you become stronger, you become better prepared, you understand more about risk taking and what you do need to calculate and look out for in future. Because unless you went to some kind of school or college or university where they taught you exactly how to be an entrepreneur and all of the good things and the bad things you need to prepare for, you'll never really understand it. And until you're in a situation, anyway, it doesn't matter how much preparation you do, until you're in the midst of difficult times of failing in your business, honestly, it can almost seem like a lonely place, is what I would say, guys. And so, for me, dealing with those experiences really woke me up, and they showed me a thing or two about what I needed to understand about me. That was the most important thing, guys. Good evening or even good morning, Katrina. It's good morning for us here in the UK. Thanks for jumping on. Good morning, Michael, Hanya, Magdalena. And I guess in terms of moving forward, the next point I want to talk about is what you believe things should be as opposed to what they actually are. I think, I think it will be like this, or it will be blah, blah, blah. And I guess when it comes to believing what things should be, again, this is another thing, it when you're faced with difficult times, it's usually because you did not believe how things would turn out. You didn't think they would turn out bad. You didn't think they would turn out difficult. And when that happens, you're really like, you're tested. That's the best thing to say. You're tested emotionally. You'll be tested spiritually. You'll be tested with your level of innovation. Yeah. And when I say innovation, it's how to cope, how to adapt, how to make things work for you. And, quite often, as I said, we go inwards, because when it's our thing, when it's our business, we don't tend to kind of open up to the world. And like, I'm speaking from my experience here. Perhaps you have a great network of business owners or people, mastermind or whatever it is. But I remember at the times when I was going through some difficult things, it was a lonely place. And I guess from 2010, after my first business going into liquidation, I learned like massively about not closing myself off to the world when difficult things happen, but actually speak to people. Even if you reach out to people you've never spoken to before, you'd be surprised like how much people are willing to give you advice or point you in the right direction because they've been there or they've experienced something similar, and they do have like a valid support, I guess, experience, or a valid experience just in general to say, well, this is what I tried, and it didn't quite work out, but I did find this worked for me. And so when you're faced with difficult times in your business, and if it is you're going through fear, depression, anxiety, delusion, i.e. like, even delusion to a degree is where you're deluding yourself and you keep saying, oh, it's going to work. And that's where I was. I remember like in that first business, I kept taking out credit cards, kept using different financial facilities because I was deluding myself about, the very basic fact we weren't selling enough and my team weren't performing to the level I needed them to. And so you learn so many things when you just stop believing how they should be and you start understanding things because you've gone through those experiences. And what I would say is, if you're going through a difficult situation in your business right now, whether it is related to marketing results, sales results, you're having challenges with how you deliver services to your clients, operations, your team, communication with your team, not performing well, not performing to your standard, not delivering the same type of culture that you would to your clients. These are all things that actually, they give you signs. Yeah, they give you signs in your business, and you must pay attention to them. So you know how to I guess take the right route, and the right route is going to be different for everybody. There is no kind of this is the right way and this is blah blah blah. There are different methods to get through difficult times, and the biggest thing, and I want to come to the third point, which is what I've got here: experience versus perception. When you have gone through difficult times, what I would say to you is, it kind of wakes you up, because a lot of the times we are coming from a place of what we perceive things to be, or we perceive how things are going to work out in business. And I've had times where I perceive, let's say, working with a particular client, and I was faced with a difficult, I don't know, situation, whether we underperformed in my business, whether the client proved to be difficult, whether we had challenges with delivery, operations, just difficult things. And when you experience them, what I've found is that I started to understand, how am I going to respond? Because what I would realize is that the way that I would respond would purely be down to what emotions I was going through. But I guess what characteristics and how I would carry myself and what I would stick to as my values and my beliefs, even when I was tested, even when things were difficult, even when I felt embarrassed if, me and my team had let a customer down, if we hadn't delivered. And this actually, it became so valid as an experience as opposed to what I perceive things to be. Because you'd always think about, if things don't work out quite so well, here's how I'd respond. But when the pressure's on, and when you are truly tested against your values, and everybody's got different values and what their priority values are, it really will be a challenging time. And you might, like I said, you might find that you fall into depression, anxiety, whether it's for a short time or a longer time. When that first business that I had failed, because I'd run it for about 6 years. First, it was like a solopreneur, and then I turned it to a limited company. And in those 6 years, I was really proud of what I'd built up. And everybody, you'll probably know this as well. When you first start out, you call your first business your baby, because it is. You kind of you give birth to it, and then you grow it, and you teach it how to walk, and you teach it how to run, and you teach it how to adapt, and that's you growing your business. And for a lot of business owners, most of you can probably relate. Therefore you protect it like you protect your own child. But in protecting it, sometimes what you're actually doing is cutting the child off, your business off, from experiencing things that they must go through as lessons, so that you can become stronger. They can fall over, they can scrape their knee, you can go through these difficult times. But what happens is you protect it, but actually you're protecting yourself, and you hold those emotions, and you hang on to depression, you hang on to anxiety, you hang on to feeling like a failure, you hang on to shame, you hang on to what people will think of you, what they'll say of you, and all these negative things. And like, that place is a dark place. Yeah. And I remember, like I said, going back to that first business failure, and it was such a big lesson for me. And it wasn't just because it was just me in my business. I had 3 team members, like people who were on salary, who I was paying. And I remember at the time when I had to liquidate the company, I had to make them redundant. And like the weight on my shoulders, and the shame, the guilt, and the responsibility that I felt was massive. And I put all of this onto my shoulders, thinking like, what the hell are those people going to do? Rather than thinking, what are you going to do, Leon? You need to protect yourself, protect you and your family, and figure out what your next steps are, rather than, feeling like, oh, you are responsible for those people and how their lives will turn out. Actually, what I realized is that, yeah, there was a certain level of responsibility for how things had resulted in that business. But I put so much negative emotion onto me. For about 4 years, I was in a depression, and depression in the sense of, I didn't really push beyond a certain limit, and I didn't take on, any more than 1 employee for about, I think it was about 4 years. And I played to that game, because I thought, I don't want to have any huge impact on anybody else going forward. So I'll just stick to me and one other person that I would directly employ. I had freelancers and so on, that I was working with. So I just pay them, hourly rates for a bit of work here and so on. But, I didn't grow my internal team any further. And I guess that was, like I said, I went through that experience, but I came out of it stronger. And now my perception of what business is has changed because of the experience. So the point of what I want to get to is what things are actually like. You won't truly know until you go through something difficult. And I don't know if any of you have gone through something difficult in your business, but what I would say to you is, we, as humans, naturally, we want to stay away from danger. That's why our egos, protect us with our natural response of fight, flight, or freeze. That's how we respond naturally. It's how the body responds to save us from danger. But what that can also do is impact us in experiencing things, because we have this perception. What they say, fear is false evidence appearing real. So when you move into fear, most of the time we fear an event that has yet to happen. And so we create an event that we picture in our mind like a Hollywood blockbuster, like, whoa, that's going to happen. And that's what keeps us away from actually experiencing something or really pushing forward. And what I guess I've learned in all the different things I've experienced, challenges in business, challenges where I've had to liquidate, where I've had to make people redundant, where cash flow has been tight. I remember one time, I literally had £20 in my bank account, £20, and I needed to put petrol in the car, and I was waiting for something like £4,000 worth of invoices to be paid by clients. And like, going through those times made me realize that my past childhood experiences and what I'd been told the world to be and what I learned about the world to be were not actually serving me in my business as a business owner, because I was carrying values, I was carrying lessons that were right for me as a child or a younger adult. But in business, there was a different way I needed to operate. I needed to make sure people paid my invoices. I needed for them to stop like messing around, because I was allowing that to happen by not following up, by not chasing. And so by putting yourself in a compromised situation, the fourth point that I want to talk about, guys, is emotions. And by compromising yourself, you set yourself up for the good, the bad, and the ugly. And that's a really difficult place to be. And I've got a graphic on the screen right now, and I'm going to finish with this graphic so you guys can perhaps take on board some of the key I guess lessons with what you may be experiencing emotions. And if you're watching this back on the replay, guys, thanks for sticking with me on this. I've been live for about 20 minutes. It's such a massive part of business, and this, what I'm talking about, dealing with difficult times, a lot of people try to avoid this, and they avoid it, and they make their compromised situation of a business acceptable, and that becomes their new comfort zone. And for those that don't accept it, they don't compromise where they are, they're the ones that win. It's plain and simple. And you probably heard the term where people say, fail as much as you can and practice getting used to failure. And there's a really great reason for that. And as I said on some of the previous points, you must experience these things to know how you will operate, how you will respond, and what you will do going forward. So finally, as I said, I've got this on screen, and I just want to talk about this for a brief second, because this is something that I came across in Motion Wheels when I was thinking about delivering this Facebook Live. I was looking for what are all the emotions that people deal with, and I came across this. And you may perhaps see some of the emotions in there, but I'm going to start from the middle circle, and you've got things like bad, fearful, angry, disgusted, sad, happy, surprised. Now, what's quite interesting, most of the negative emotions take about 3/4 of this pie chart. Yeah. And when you look at things like, if you're having a bad time, usually you end up tired, stressed, busy, or bored. Yeah. And that can lead to unfocused, sleepy, out of control, overwhelmed, pressured, indifferent. Yeah. And again, if you look at things like when you're in fear, it's usually you're experiencing you being scared, anxious, insecure, feeling weak, feeling rejected, or feeling threatened. So you may feel like helpless, overwhelmed, inadequate, worthless, and if you've experienced any of these types of feelings as a business owner, it can be a difficult place to be. Look at this. When you feel angry, usually you feel let down, humiliated, bitter, mad, aggressive, frustrated, distant, critical. So, and these things can end up being resentful, disrespected, violated. You can feel furious, provoked. You can feel annoyed, withdrawn, numb, skeptical. You know what? There's a lot of these emotions that I've felt when I have gone through difficult times. Look at this. When you feel disgusted in something, when you disapprove, disappointment, awful, or repelled, where perhaps you feel embarrassed. I've felt embarrassed before. So when that business failed, my first business, I felt embarrassed. So obviously I wasn't disapproving of myself. What else have we got? Horrified. Yeah, I remember going through feeling horrified that I had to make my employees redundant. Have you ever been sad, guys, where you felt lonely, vulnerable, felt despair, guilty, depressed, or hurt? Definitely for me, embarrassed, disappointment, feeling inferior, feeling empty, not knowing where to turn, powerless when you've got a business and you've got to liquidate it, but it's meant probably a lot to you, everything to you perhaps, where you feel fragile. Yeah. And then the final one, surprised. And these are all the negative things that you'll go through as emotions, where you can feel a mix of these things. You can feel excited, amazed, confused, or startled. So surprise can be both a good thing and a bad thing. So you can feel energetic because you're excited. You can feel eager. You can feel in awe, astonished, or you can feel perplexed, delusioned, dismayed, or shocked. Yeah. So those are all the negative kind of sides of dealing with I guess being in business. And I could just see them for some reason the live stream. I just dropped out for a second, so hopefully you didn't miss too much of what I was just sharing. I'll put it back on screen in a moment. But the point I wanted to get to, guys, is that when you are experiencing, you know, these negative emotions, how do you deal with it? How do you come out the other side? And that's what I want to finish on and conclude with you all on. So when I went through those experiences, what I did, like most people, I turned to people who were other business owners. I asked for advice. That was the thing that became obvious to me. It's like, Leon, you obviously don't know enough. There's some stuff going on with you emotionally, and you need to speak to people. And that's what I did. I turned to business owners. I turned to people who I believed could help. And to my good fortune, there were people around me who did help. So what I also found is I started to read on the topic of how to deal with my emotions, how to deal with difficult times, and you know, just reading. I guess some of the books that you hear about, you know, there was books from Tony Robbins. What is it? I can't remember the exact one. Something how to. I think it's Unleash the Giant Within. I can't remember the exact title. It's on my bookshelf over there. Oh, How to Awaken the Giant Within. That's it. So there was that book. There was a few other books, and I just started to learn and think, what the heck's going on? And I learned about myself. That's the biggest thing you can do, guys, when it comes to difficult times. Understand what's going on with you emotionally, what's going on with you spiritually. And when I say spiritually, I don't necessarily mean religion. You know, if you are religious and you practice whatever religion you practice, that's great. You know, so what I did, I started to understand about things like meditation, calming my mind, you know, finding kind of like a space where I could drop everything, and I didn't have to go through the emotions just because I was thinking about them or wanted to think about them. I could choose and say, you know what, let me drop all of that for the moment and clear some space and think, what is it that I do want to create? What is it that I do want to experience? What is it that I do want for me, my family? What is it that I do want to bring into this world to help my clients with? And that's probably one of the greatest things that you can do, guys. You know, when you can find that space amongst, you know, all the shit that's going down, perhaps that you're going through in a difficult time, that you can find space and say, you know what, let me just unload all of that, come to a central place of clarity. And then what you'll find to your amazement is that when you start giving yourself space, you know, whether it's directly meditating, going for a walk, listening to music, doing some kind of like, I don't know, it could be like a physical activity like exercise or something, you know, just that you probably know already the thing that you respond to, but where you can find that kind of that space and you can drop all the emotions, answers come. As soon as you drop all the bullshit, all of your creative, I guess your energy, you know, for me, when I'm talking about this, I'm talking about your soul and your spirit. The answers come to you, because what tends to happen is when we are going through those difficult times, we close off from all of our creative, energetic, you know, the things that kind of give us our purpose. Yeah, is probably the best way for me to put it. And that's the best place to be. And if you are going through these challenging times and you know you don't know where to turn, by all means, reach out to me, drop me a message. If you're watching this on YouTube or Facebook, just get in touch with me, and I'll be more than happy just to give you, you know, some space and some ideas about what you can do, because business can be tough, it can be lonely, and you know, as a business owner, you can pile even more on top of your shoulders just because of what you believe things should be, or you believe how you should respond, instead of just giving yourself space, instead of, you know, really focusing on the fact that, yep, you need to love yourself and respect yourself as well, you know, and you need to put yourself first. Because if you are a business owner, without you probably have no business, or the business doesn't exist. So you need to look after number one, so that you can help and look after everybody else as well that you choose to look after, you know, friends, family, and your community. So guys, that was really the key things that I wanted to get across here. You know, give yourself the space, you know, reach out to people around you, or if your network isn't the kind of network that can support you, find a new network, you know, find new friends, find new business contacts, find people that you can trust in, join a mastermind group, get around the kind of people that are going to help you go to that next level, because there's a lot to experience. There's a lot for you to go through, is really great times. And the next time you go through something difficult, and here's the interesting thing, you're better prepared to deal with it emotionally, spiritually, and just the real day-to-day situations and reality of life. Yeah, and so don't shy away from those hard times. Don't feel like you need to protect yourself by not experiencing them. If you can overcome them and achieve great results, and you overcome a difficult situation, that will help you. And it will help you even more if you can think faster, if you can deal with these situations faster. But usually, just as human beings, the more we experience something, the better we get. So if we experience something bad and we get better at getting past that bad thing or that difficult situation, the better we get as and become as business owners. And there's a lot of business owners in the world that, they've got great success, billionaires, trillionaires, and they've achieved that because they've faced difficulties and hard times much more than us, but they've chosen to take action and get beyond them. So they haven't let those difficult situations and emotions define them. What they've actually done is drawn on their core values, they've drawn on their spirit, and they've moved forward. And as I said to you, I gave you some ideas. Journal perhaps is another way. So meditation, journal, go for a walk, give yourself space. If you're going through some negative emotions, speak to other business owners, speak to people who've perhaps been there as well, been through the situation that you're in, and I'm telling you, you will come out the other side, because I've been there. I've been my own story of when the chips are down, you must rely on yourself. And if you can't rely on yourself at that point in time, reach out to somebody who can help you. And that's the final point I want to leave you guys. So this is Good Morning with Leon Street. I wanted to touch on this because now that you've gone through my approach to how you can deal with these difficult times, you can set yourself up for a great week ahead. And it's important, to set yourself up for success, because you'll have a greater chance of achieving it, rather than being, in a place of, negative emotions, experience, your energy feeling low. Now you can go after it and tackle it with some of those ideas that I shared with you. Those are things that I share with my clients, because I'm a big believer in moving forward. As I said to you, I'm a very positive person by default. But if perhaps you are going through some challenges right now and you need support, remember, just reach out to me, drop me a message. If you want to book in a call with me and your business is facing some challenging times and you'd like to chat, book yourself in for a call. Just go to www.leonstreet.com/apply. Book in your time, fill in your details, and I'll know what's going on with you, what you're facing as a challenge, and I'll help you through. So other than that, guys, enjoy the rest of your Sunday, wherever you are in the world, and I hope you have a great week ahead. I'll be back on Wednesday evening, 8:30 p.m. in the UK, so UK time. I'll be talking more about marketing and sales on a Wednesday. Usually on a Sunday, I like to speak about, things that are more related to just life in general and emotions, like today, what you go through, because it's important. It's important for us to be aware of all these things. So anyway, take care. Have a great week ahead. Take care. Bye-bye.